Now there's one more OpenType option that we haven't seen so far that's not available inside the OpenType panel. Instead, you get to it from the character panel, and that's small caps, and I'll show you how that works. And I'll also introduce you to the glyphs panel, which is one of the most useful panels, I think, where text is concerned inside Illustrator. I've saved my progress as OpenTypeChanges.ai, and I'm going to click on this text up above here because I want to convert it all to small caps. And small caps, as you probably know, means that the real capital letters remain big caps, and then all the lowercase letters change to smaller capitals. Now, many OpenType fonts include entire small cap alphabets. And the reason they include these, because you might think, well, why would there be special characters for small caps? Why not just make little capital letters? Because if you make the capital letters smaller, they also decline in weight. So the big capital letters look massive by comparison. They're actually heavier. And so are the lowercase characters. The lowercase characters would be heavier than reduced capital letters as well, unless there are specialty small caps provided. To get to those small caps, you go to the character panel. And what's interesting is inside of Photoshop, inside of InDesign, inside many products, there are keyboard shortcuts for all caps and small caps. Well, these do not exist inside of Illustrator. You have to go to the character panel, you have to bring up the flyout menu, and you have to choose all caps if that's what you want, or in our case, small caps. And that's going to replace those lowercase letters with specially designed small capitals. Now, I do have a problem. Notice over here, the 1 got converted to some sort of small cap as well. So I'm going to have to select that 1 right there, the ordinal, with the type tool. And I'm going to have to go ahead and turn off small caps for it. Now, you might say, well, why did that 1 get changed and the 1 and the 2 and a fraction didn't? Well, because the 1 and the 2 and a fraction is protected because it's a special character, whereas the 1 is just your standard everyday average character that went ahead and got converted to some kind of crazy small cap. Anyway, how do I know that these small caps are even available? I was telling you, some OpenType fonts have specialty small caps, others don't. How can I find which is which? Well, I'll go ahead and switch back to my black arrow tool. I'll hide the character panel, and I'll go to the type menu, and I'll choose glyphs. And that brings up the ginormous glyphs panel. I've actually scaled it to make it larger. You just do that by dragging the sides of the panel or the bottom or what have you. You can scale to any size you want. You can also zoom in on the characters by clicking on these little mountains as well, or zoom out if you prefer. But what I can do is I can specify the font that I'm using, and that'll come up by default. If you've got some text selected in Adobe Caslon Pro, for example, that will be the font that's selected down here at the bottom of the glyphs panel, although you can change to some other font as well. And this panel is very useful for looking up characters, which is what glyphs are. Characters inside of specialty fonts like Zaf Dingbats and Wingdings and that jazz. So choose whatever font you want from this list, choose whatever style you want as well. And then you can check out the characters just by scrolling up and down the list. Notice that I've got a ton of fractions. I've got 1/2, I've got all the quarters, I've got all the thirds, all the eighths as well, and a bunch of mathematical symbols. You can click and hold on any character to see the alternates for that character. So there's the capital P, there's the small capital P, there's a pointing finger. I don't know what in the world that has to do with a P, but it is part of the font. And also, you can limit the amount of characters that you're seeing at any given time. So right now I'm showing the entire font, but I could look at just the standard ligatures if I wanted to. So I'll go ahead and choose standard ligatures, and there they are. All of these character combinations get replaced. I don't know how often I run into a lowercase FFJ or FH or one of those character combinations, but they would get replaced. I can also choose something like ornaments if I want to see all the ornaments inside of this font. So every single one of these guys is part of Adobe Caslon Pro. However, in my case, I'm going to go ahead and switch to small capitals, and that way I can see that I have an entire small caps alphabet, as well as some ligatures, A, E, O, E, S, S, F, I, and F, L. So this is a very helpful panel. All you have to do in order to insert one of these characters, assuming you're in the text entry mode, you just double click on one of them, and that character is added to your text. All right, I'll go ahead and hide the glyphs panel. In the next exercise, we're going to go ahead and style this top text so it matches the rest of the illustration.